Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, just doing a quick video going over the patch 7.2 promotional site. They really didn't put a whole lot on it, as is customary. It's normally like 2 or 3 topics, a couple of images, and then a list of everything in the patch, which is nice for those of you who don't keep up with the news like some of us do maybe a little bit too well. So, patch 7.2, as it says, is coming in, let me scroll down, late March 2025. That means March 25th. There's never any real variance with that. It's always like they break the months into thirds. So, early means first 10 days, middle means second 10 days, and late means until the end of the month. So, March 25th, the only Tuesday in March. So, that is when patch is going to be. We still don't have information technically about if Savage is delayed a week, but everyone's expecting it. So really wish they would have mentioned it. But since they did it in 0.2 and 0.4 for Endwalker, really hoping, because I think everyone's taken off work under the assumption that Savage will be delayed a week. So sure hope that's the case. But as you can see here, we have the artwork for the patch, Seekers of Eternity. We've seen this artwork already. We've gone over all of the different images that are present. Just looking, we don't need to go over it again. We've already talked about it before. We talked about that from the last letter from the producer live. So, main scenario, quest Seekers of Eternity. We have a couple of images here. We have one of Ishtola with Wukla. I'm not going to lie, with my color blindness, I honestly, like, Wuklamat was just, like, blended into the background for me right there. Then we have one of Sphene, looking especially not good. She's definitely looking evil. And then this, we actually saw all these images from the last letter from the producer live. However, from my understanding, there was actually a 4th image on this page sometime before I decided to record this video. And of course, once something's on the internet, it doesn't go away. We would assume it was removed for spoilers' sake, but I think it's only a potential spoiler if you've played Final Fantasy IX. So giving you the warning now, the image, it was removed for a reason. So I'm going to talk about it, but, you know, here we go. Before we actually read what's underneath, let me grab a tab over here, as you can see. Yeah. This is Wuklamat, the Warrior of Light, and a figure that is simultaneously dressed in a very Solution 9-esque fashion. You can tell it's still like kind of the same fashion just from like looking at the actual like sleeves and the zipper on the back. But that is oh, and you can't see them underneath, but they are also wearing like jeans and like what looks to be a tank top probably. But for those of you who have played Final Fantasy IX, you will no doubt recognize that this is very similar to the outfit that Garnet, or Dagger if you prefer, was wearing when we were kidnapping her. Now, that was a longer robe, but it still definitely gives off that vibe. And given that they removed the image from the site, we can assume that the role here might be very similar. I would suspect that that's probably... I wonder if Sphene's consciousness was like split in 2 when Sphene returned, because we have to assume that all of this is a result of how the AI was made from the preservation, which I'm assuming will be kind of like the ultimate villain for 7.3, would be finally dealing with whatever the preservation had put into motion. Maybe it's split her in 2 and there's like a good part and a bad part. The bad part's the one trying to turn everyone into Endless, or trying to convince everyone they should turn into Endless. And the good one here is, well, trying to work against the bad one's interests. It just, given that Sphene is supposed to be a play on Garnet, I refuse to believe this is anyone but just like some undercover version of Sphene, just walking around in some capacity. The Queen of Reason has made a miraculous return and bears a message to her troubled subjects: become endless and eternal life is yours. While such a promise may provide solace to some, others still fear the icy touch of death approaches. Yeah, we know that we're getting a sort of final boss-esque moment in 7.3, and this seems to just kind of be leading into that. So, other than that, though, those images, we actually saw those during the previous live letter, so not much to say. The Underkeep, which, funnily enough, we saw an image of this before the live letter. They tweeted it the day before, and we were all like, huh, that's Alexandria. Effectively, yes, this is the original Castle Alexandria from before the entirety of Solution, well, the entirety of the Everkeep was built. I was going to say Solutions 1 through, what does it go up to? 12? 13? I don't remember. I think 12, I think 13 is, what is it called? The Verdict Forgotten, the Golden City. And then the 12th was where we actually fought Zoral Job. We do have a couple of images as well. Again, these are ones that we saw during the Letter from the Producer Live. Once again, heavily inspired from Final Fantasy IX. This boss, I don't think we saw an image of. I think that's just supposed to be well, I guess for Final Fantasy IX, with the Knights of Pluto. I'm assuming that's what the intended representation is here, because this doesn't look like one of Beatrix's warriors. I assume that, well, Beatrix is the trial. We know that. We've seen it, and I believe it is one of the other details on this page. But I would assume one of her knights were generally held in higher regard. I would assume that those would be moved up. Although I will say this, so it's going to be weird. The crotch, the crotch and the breastplate, those actually are those are indications of Beatrix's knights. I forgot what those ones were called. I almost forgot Knights of Pluto. Dude, after I platinumed Final Fantasy IX, I honestly erased as much of it from my memory as I could, so the little things sometimes slip by. Actually, yeah, then I don't think it's the Knights of Pluto. I actually do think these are Beatrix's knights. The question is, it's probably the second boss, if I had to guess. I don't think this is the last boss of the dungeon. Now, the other thing to look through is the armor. The problem is I'm not very good at remembering armor sets, but those are those current tier weapons? I swear I recognize the White Mage Cane off on the side. I don't remember. I'm just collecting Fru weapons right now, so the Fru weapons, excuse me, are the only things I remember. But those armor sets, I don't recognize those. I don't recognize those at all. Those might be new. I like the shoulders on the warrior here, so if that is in the game, I really like those. And then you can see the bard set here on the left. Looks fine. I mean, machinist, the range set, I should say, healer set. Yeah, it all looks fine. I think the armor sets are new, but I think the weapons, just because I'm seeing the white mage weapon in the back here, I think the weapons are the current tier. So maybe they didn't want to give those away just yet. Maybe they're saving those for that screenshot. That's usually its own dedicated screenshot. In the waning days of the Old Kingdom, the people of Alexandria sought a way to survive as their homes sank into the earth below. They built a towering structure that enveloped the royal castle itself, and as the moons came and went, Everkeep grew to soaring heights. Yet some say that the castle has withstood the ravages of time and stands even now in the city's foundation as a symbol of bygone glory. Yeah, you can kind of get a really good feel. Like, you can see that the castle here is like... This is actually closer to the top of the castle, mind you. But you can see all of the, like, basic construction tools that are down here, and yeah, so yeah, I think it's yeah, I can only imagine the desperation there. But more Final Fantasy IX. There's Beatrix. The trial is Recollection. For those who are wondering what I'm talking about when I say Beatrix, because again, not everyone's played the old Final Fantasies. Beatrix was one of the two knights in charge of Alexandria, in charge of their military. I've noted that the bosses earlier were likely her knights, especially because I know the big thing with the crotch thing is that they're dressed in like a leotard or something. Not a leotard. What is it? They just have like a one-piece like underwear, and then they wear armor up top. Like, it's like the classic anime, like when people make the jokes about armor for men in video games, armor for women in video games. It's literally that. So that's what I was talking about earlier. Beatrix is their commander, and she's generally considered the most OP character in Final Fantasy IX for a number of reasons. I guess I won't get too far into it, but she has quite the character arc, one that's a little bit hard to reconcile with, but after dealing with Gaius, I think we're all used to that kind of idea. And this is just like a mechanized version of her. The other knight, by the way, in case you didn't know, Steiner, that was basically Otis for us. Otis was in every way our Steiner here in Dawn Trail, so now we'll have the duo together in some capacity. I'm sure he won't be here, but you know, we have Beatrix. A terrible new threat bars the Warrior of Paths, the Warrior of Light's path, blade at the ready, but for whom do they wield it, and to what horrible end? Guess we'll find out, because it looks like right after we finish the dungeon in Alexandria, we'll be doing this. So it definitely looks like it's right after whatever we finish. So, and that's it in terms of images, and we've actually seen all those images before, except for the one that they removed from the site. But here's just a list of features for 7.2, again, for those who haven't really been keeping up. Seekers of Eternity MSQ, the Arcadian Cruiserweight Division. Note it doesn't mention Savage, so maybe Savage is a week late. I mean, to be fair, they know that we expect Savage. So. Cosmic Exploration and New Tool Enhancement Quest. Cosmic Tools, that's crafting and gathering content. Crescent Island is Crescent Isle, or the Occult Crescent, is the new exploration content a la Bozia, a la Eureka. It looked really good from the preview that we saw, but that's probably going to be coming in 0.2x. We still have a question, because Cosmic Exploration, they never said was 0.2x. We would assume it is, but I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll be available right away. New Dungeon, the Underkeep, we just looked at that. New Trial Recollection, we just looked at that. The new Unreal, Hell's Kier. That's Suzaku. And I don't think I've dreaded an Unreal as much as Suzaku for a while. It's been a hot minute, because Suzaku has several attacks that people just won't pay attention to. The big one is sometimes she does a pushback or sometimes she does a pull in. And all it is a cast bar that you have to pay attention to and react to. Either you need to stay kind of in the middle of the arena and step forward or back, depending on what she's doing. Or if you have knockback resist, you need to use it. I am very afraid of people just not paying attention to it and being pulled into the middle of the room. That one scares me more than the knockback, to be honest. But yeah, I'm going to be revisiting Suzaku. I've got my solo video is a good resource for that, because there's not a whole lot going on. So probably just look over that and remember all the timings and do callouts for every week. New weapon enhancement quest, the Phantom weapons. Those will be done inside of Crescent Isle, or you can do them outside. We don't know if it's going to work exactly like Bozia, where Crescent Island progression is still required. In Bozia, while you could do it outside, you still had to progress Bozia to get to the next steps. We don't know if it's that way yet. Given they're called Phantom weapons and Crescent Isle is like all Phantom stuff, Phantom jobs, like that's just what it is. I would assume it's the case, but we don't know, so I won't say for certain. New Allied Society quests are the Mammal Jaw. These are the Gatherer Allied Society quests. More Hildebrand. The new Allegan Tomestones, again, we're moving to the next cap tombstone. Mathematics will be capped at 450 per week, and the previous one, Heliometry, will be uncapped and placed at 2,000. And the previous 2,000 cap tombstone, I've already forgotten its name, that's going to be gone. You'll be able to exchange it for Heliometry, and I do recommend capping that tome, because you'll probably want to exchange it up to Heliometry, and then exchange that for crafting materials to make the new crafted stuff, to make new pots. Whether you plan on selling the materials, crafting them yourself, you definitely want to have 2,000 tomes before the patch rolls over, and even as close to 2,000 Heliometry before that patch rolls over as well. New crafting recipes, speaking of which, new mounts, minions, emotes, yeah, of course. New Corn Servant quests. They decided to do a Corn Servant quest because everyone loved Corn Servant. Really surprised to see that, but it's nice. More duty support. What are they adding this time? They were adding Sunken Temple of Karn. It's going to be interesting to see the bosses reworked, because let's just say I don't expect trusts to be able to do the way the old bosses were doing it. And PvP updates. I'm surprised he didn't go more into this. No, I'm not. Secure is coming back after, I think I had hiatus in 6.1. We still don't have Astrologos, but, you know, that's one back at the very least. And then, you know, the usual rebalance stuff. Oh, and they did mention, and they have confirmed, I think it was in the digest, that old series rewards are coming back. At first, when we got the unofficial translation, they were like, oh, you know, we're considering it. But the official translation says they are doing it. So yes, old series rewards finally coming back. Something that they told us they were going to do, and we've been waiting for it. And at this point, we thought they forgot, but it looks like, you know, it just took 2.5 years for it to happen. Ugh. More than that, 3 years, basically. Now, it does say some content may be made available via patch updates at a later date. It doesn't specifically note which ones, although we have a pretty good idea if you've been playing the game for quite some time. And that is a wrap for our first look at the patch 7.2 special site. I'll be sure to make another video as soon as they add new images, especially the dungeon gear, savage gear, pictures of the Arcadian, the usual stuff. If you've been around the channel, you know how we do. But that's going to be a wrap. Thanks for watching this video. And if you have some other videos that you'd like to watch, I got to play Clair Obscure Expedition 33 for over 4 hours. In fact, I played it for damn near 10 to 12 hours, even soloing the entire thing as one of the game's characters. If you're looking forward to that RPG next month, be sure to check out my videos on that. I'm also platinuming every Final Fantasy game in the franchise and release my first video in that series as well. So be sure to go give both of those a peek. With that, I will see all of you in the next video. And until then, take care.